And we're back.
Huzzah.
Yes. Well,
Survive getting out of there.
as the sound of the Underdark fade away, you guys are back in the swamp. And with the amount of time that you've spent underground, it is approaching late evening.
Oh yeah, we've done this all in a single day.
Yes.
Yep.
What a day it's been.
What a day.
Which means we need to find somewhere safe to sleep as soon as possible.
Well,
Because I don't think here is safe. Or particularly pleasant, given it's a flooded, tumble-down hut.
well, I was thinking about it. Like we flooded like the basement thing, but it's like in this broken down house. I think how could we just kind of
Finish.
find a way to have a long rest here and then like break down the house so it kind of like falls onto the hatch?
I don't think we could have a long rest here.
The problem is that, yeah, basically the floor of the house is flooded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there'd be nowhere to sleep.
Yeah, it's a couple of inches deep in water.
I'd like
We
to
could-
take a
we could-
rest
We
somewhere
could,
near. Oh, sorry.
well, yeah. Well, what I'm about to say is we could quite feasibly probably take down the shack, and then just go find somewhere nearby to rest. We've got someone who's very good at navigating the wild and finding safe spots. So it probably wouldn't be too hard.
Yeah. Somewhere nearby where we could keep an eye on it in case they try to follow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this thing we can collapse the building on top of them, which will add even more weight to the trapdoor, probably.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, we should probably just collapse it. And also
Sure, but the whole thing is basically falling apart, so you could dedicate an hour's worth of work to just making this thing fall in on itself.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, didn't seem like too much work. So, and then like trying to focus as much as we can on that trapdoor.
Yeah. We don't want to
Lithari's,
put it out
yeah. Lithari's probably not actually like trying to collapse it, but she's definitely like telling people where the best places to hit it are.
Wow.
there. In fact, we should. Well, to be fair, you don't have the best stuff to knock down a building with. I've got a fucking hammer. Anyway,
Well, you've got hammers,
probably
axes.
also-
It's a wooden shack.
yeah. We
Yeah.
should probably also
Just punch it real hard.
inform people back at Silverbrook that there's a way into the Underdark in that swamp, just so that they can potentially
Well,
step up the watch.
remember the guy at the outpost is there to keep an eye out for criminals and drow, so it was quite possible that they already had a suspicion.
Well, I guess we can go over to him and confirm it.
Well, going
Yeah.
over to him is a long ways away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost a
now-
whole day's travel.
Right now, we're gonna
Yeah.
find a
we're
place
gonna rest.
to sleep.
Yeah, find a place to sleep, and we'll head back and report. By the way, there's an entrance to the fucking Underdark in the swamp.
There are weirder places for an entrance to the Underdark to be.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
Arya, as a ranger, you know that half of the problem with Aravandar is that Aravandar is riddled with entrances to the Underdark, and that's why it's such a problem.
Well,
It's why it's almost impossible to secure the borders, because nobody knows where the entrances are, and they seem to be literally everywhere.
right.
That's just one step towards just helping with that.
Yes. So, Arya, do you want to make me a survival check with advantage?
One small step for elves, one giant smack in the face for drow kind.
Oh,
Nice.
natural 20.
Nice.
Okay, so you managed to find a small location off to the side where, essentially, there's a small cliffside that crests up, maybe like 5 feet above the level of the water, which the lot of you managed to scramble up and sort of overlook this now completely tumble down house. And yeah, it seems dry, it seems clear, and perhaps most importantly, there seems to be no signs of wild animals or any other nearby creatures. Well, hostile creatures. There's plenty of creatures, but nothing immediately dangerous to you.
Well, I guess we'll set up camp.
Okay. Yeah, you guys can set up camp.
I guess whilst we're setting up camp, we should probably evaluate what we actually got, or what I
Yes.
Yeah, might be a good idea.
Okay.
Let's see what you found.
grabbed. First, I'm probably gonna take out the books, trying
Okay.
and I found all these books. I couldn't read them. They seemed elvish. Some of them seemed like old, but I just grabbed everything.
Okay.
So, if any of you guys could confirm, looking
Yeah,
at
let's get the
Lithari.
three. Yeah, let's get the three elvish speakers to
Yeah.
flip through stuff.
Okay. So you pull out a number of books. Most of them are in Undercommon, which I believe none of you speak.
No.
Including the penned note that was with the open book on the desk that you found, Grim.
Okay.
That is also in Undercommon. The book that you found on the desk, though, the one that looked very, very old and had sort of like handwritten notes in, that one is in Elvish. In a very, very old style dialect of Elvish. Like it's almost closer to Sylvan than it is to Elvish. Those of you who speak Elvish, give me history checks.
Damn it,
Okay.
so bad.
Guys,
God.
holy shit!
Yeah, you don't know anything about this particular dialect of Elvish.
Fuck's sake.
Well, we know it's Elvish. So
Yes.
I mean, is
that's
it
good.
not like the ones for the books I picked up in the basement?
Oh, yes, it's similar, similar phrasing, I guess. Like the wording is done in a similar way, and one of those was handwritten, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, so it's the same hand.
Ah.
Well, at least it seems to confirm
Um.
that we got what we needed.
Yeah, those of you who speak Elvish, you can actually read it, and whilst it's a lengthy volume and it's difficult to understand, it definitely seems to it is a smith's notes on working with materials that they've never worked with before. Give me an investigation check, all of you. Lithari, you can do it with advantage.
Investigation, was that?
Yes.
Oh
Okay.
my God,
Oh,
that's a
shit.
fucking
Yes! Nailed it.
Holy crap.
Aside from a doodle of a small tiefling girl in the back of the book,
Oh shit!
Oh,
um,
No!
oh.
Did he have this guy? Had a
no,
crush
that's
on?
not
No.
a thing you find.
Tieflings are too recent for that.
Yes, yes, no tieflings in the first stage. Yeah, no. So you go through this book, and the first thing that jumps out at you immediately is that it makes copious references to the elemental plane of fire. And essentially, you deduce that in searching for a way to produce stronger, better, more efficient items, the smith, who is never mentioned by name, but only ever refers to them like to themselves being part of the RNA family, which lines up with what you already knew. Essentially, it is they stumbled across the property of elemental brass being able to withstand intense temperatures, and when smelted correctly, could even be used to forge things capable of restraining even powerful creatures like elementals. The byproduct of this is that they create a forge powered by an elemental itself. This discovery leads to an interaction with... I don't actually know what his name is. Give me just a moment while I look up his name. But anyway, the book refers to a denizen of the elemental plane who attempts to negotiate with the smith, essentially to it's sort of a, hey, if I tell you about the wondrous properties of this metal, will you stop like probing into our realm and screwing with stuff? Okay, that's not helpful. I will find the name of the person later. It's not super important. Yeah, so it talks about this being that the smith encounters, who says, if I tell you about this amazing property of the metals that you found, will you stop taking elementals from our realm to power your inventions? To which the smith agrees, and the smith basically is told of black steel, which is a material that is only found in the elemental plane of fire, but the secrets of the refining process was created by the fire giants and used to create the black steel that is part of their weapons and armor. This smith then promptly proceeds to find an enclave of fire giants, best one in combat, take their armor and forge the head of a warpike from it. They then go on to talk about how the potential for this is like the potential for these sort of weapons to win them wars is incredible. There is then talk of a disruption within the family, and then basically the note taking is it becomes a series of basically like crafting instructions for the specific production and manufacture of the large-scale production and manufacture of black steel weaponry. It stops being a diary and starts being an instruction manual. And you expect that this is the thing that particularly the Duergar had an interest in. So yes, you now have the instructions for the mass production of black steel if you have the materials and the capability. The thing that jumps out, particularly at, well, this would be to Vondal and to Lithari. Lithari, you wonder how you managed to forge your weapon without the elemental power. And reading about what the black steel can supposedly do, you wonder if your weapon had been forged in one of these elemental brass forges, if its power couldn't have been enhanced even more than it currently is. It's almost as if yours is sort of like the low end of its power ability.
Oh, that's a big insult. Made the lower end.
Yeah, well, compared to one forged in a forge of elemental brass, your weapon is it's a fairly simple magic item. So don't take that as a criticism. Take that as there is untapped potential in this metal beyond what you even thought possible.
Yeah, that's definitely the road Lithari is.
Yes,
taking down.
which is also what you take away from it, Vondal, as well. It's if Lithari can craft a weapon from this without the technology, what could somebody do with this information? The other thing you find in amongst the books, there are two not arcane spell scrolls. There are two divine spell scrolls for a spell that you recognize, Vondal. It is the spell Inflict Wounds. So you can add 2 scrolls of Inflict Wounds to your list.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest of the books are untranslatable currently.
Well,
Sure,
I can
you're
think of
noting
someone who
down.
can probably tell us what all these uncommon things say.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, see, that's all about the books, right?
That was all about the books, yes.
Okay, well, whilst I was there, I did manage to grab something extra, and I take out the armor, this
Okay.
set of ceremonial-looking armor.
Grim very slowly pulls like a set of black armor out of the bag. It is a set of armor designed for a dwarf. It's sort of dark grey in color. But it essentially has like the leather the under leathers of the armor is sort of, it's been dyed a sort of a deep crimson, and basically around like where the neckline is a very very elaborate trim in gold thread.
Well, I guess I should probably try and sense if there's anything magical about it, or if it's just very fancy.
You can tell from a cursory magical evaluation without even a roll, it is non-magical. Give me an investigation check on it though as you look it over.
Yeah, can I check it out to see if it's made out of black steel?
Yes.
Is that-
Oh, actually, without even rolling, no, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, like immediately from touching it, you can tell it's not black steel.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so, Grim, the things that draw your attention about this armor is, from the detailing of it, it seems to have some sort of like, ancestral insignia, and seems to perhaps have some sort of historical significance. It's also probably very, very, very valuable.
Yeah.
Probably even more so to a dwarf.
Well, we should probably keep this in case we find anyone who's
Yeah.
interested.
Just
Or like,
found
wait,
some
what
armor.
type of, is like purely ceremonial, or is it like an actual armor type?
It is ceremonial half plate essentially.
Okay.
Huh. Fancy.
Well, I guess that's nothing for Vondal then.
No, it's worse than Vondal's current armor.
Yeah, because
Just
half plates.
bunch of money.
Yeah. Also, this is quite old. It probably wouldn't do to actually wear it in combat.
Yeah.
Actually, Vondal, give me a history check.
I was gonna say if it's old and dwarven, Vondal
Yeah.
Vondal would quite like it.
Yeah, give me a
history
history
check.
check.
Oh,
Right.
there we go.
Okay, so this actually dates like even back beyond your knowledge. You don't recognize any of the insignias on this. Which, considering how far back your knowledge of dwarven history goes, it's probably first age armor.
Holy shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this would certainly be of interest to anybody who is remotely interested in dwarven history, and would probably fetch a significant price from a dwarven museum or ancestral house.
If we ever need money, head to Dwarven Kingdom. Okay.
Vondal's slightly.
It
like,
belongs in a museum.
in Vondal's head, he's just making like grabby hands at it.
Well, I guess I'll put it away for now. And
Yeah,
I'll-
it's quite heavy, so you might want to just keep it in the bag of
keep it
holding.
in the bag of holding.
And then I'll take out the other two things: the silvery hammer and the ancient head of a spear or spine.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this when you picked it up, but the hammer is very heavy.
Oh. Oh, I don't know. Well, take it out with additional effort.
Okay. So, Lithari, you notice when he pulls the weapon head out, he pulls out a black steel warpike head.
Oh,
Dun dun dun! Is it the same one? Very probably.
Lithari?
I think Aweyeah is dead.
Oh no.
Damn.
Oh no.
Let's handle the hammer.
I muted myself. by
Oh, okay.
accident.
Oh.
You
Oh, right.
fool!
Right. Oh yeah. Look, it's a.
Yes, he produces from the bag of holding a black steel warpike head.
Yeah. I think Lithari's letting him continue, but she's also kind of she's also making grabby hands at
Yeah.
him with her head.
It's like, I want this.
Oh, both of you.
Look, she just pulled first aid dwarven armor and Vondal likes history.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Anyway.
I guess Quagrim also has an interest, but
Yeah.
not like in that specific way. But yeah. Well, I guess.
Oh,
What would we?
Vondal, make me a perception check. Okay, so the silvery hammer that Grim produces, like he pulls it out, like it's quite heavy. Even like it's like a one-handed. It's a one-handed. If you've ever seen like a throwing hammer, which Vondal has, I don't know if you have. It's basically a throwing hammer, but it looks like the way Grim pulls it out, it seems insanely heavy, and he sort of like he puts it down on the ground, and it's got like it's got some words written in Dwarvish, and I need to find out what the words are very quickly.
So I was gonna say, is it like a war hammer or a light?
No, it is a throwing hammer.
So it's specifically a light hammer.
Yes,
Okay.
but it doesn't seem very light.
Yeah. I like the idea of throwing a hammer at someone now. Does it stun the first enemy hero it contacts?
I wish.
God damn. And with every hit, does it do more damage? God, that'd be so ridiculously powerful in D&D.
Well, I guess would definitely like do the thing of checking if it's magical. That's always worth.
I mean, and things that are inscribed, weapons that are inscribed are very rarely not magical.
That's not entirely true. They're either magical or they're oppressive.
Magical or very, very, very fancy. Either way, that's enough stuff. Like either way, I'm using it. 'Cause that sounds fun.
Well, it's like silver, so it's fancy, alright.
Oh yeah.
Or
Well,
silvery.
silvery. Yeah, we don't know if it's actually silver or silvered or whatever.
So yeah, the basically in a square around like the outside of like the grip of the hammer. In Dwarven runes, it says, "Strike true, O bolt from the blue. The mighty can stand not before the bold."
Oh, grabby hands.
Okay.
That's badass.
I guess.
Okay. So, do you try and pick it up?
Yeah.
Okay. It is light as a feather.
Oh my
Can I
god.
just like sort of like,
Oh my god.
I guess like flip it around?
Yep. You
Oh my
you
God.
throw it around. It's very well balanced.
Oh. Okay,
guess
Vondal's like
you're-
lighting up like face-wise. Just.
So, Grim, you're watching Vondal like throwing this insanely heavy hammer around.
I was about to say, it's like, well, either you're stronger than I remember, or something's up with that hammer.
So well, if
Do you want to give me an
if you
Arcana
say
check,
it's heavy-
Vondal?
Okay. For fuck's sake!
You have no idea. Doesn't
Oh.
feel
Oh my
magical
God.
to you.
I guess he just sort of like, can I sort of drop it like onto a solid patch of ground?
You're just gonna drop it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Go, yeah.
Drop
It
on the
lands.
top.
Does it like land with any significant impact?
No.
I guess I'll try to pick it up again.
Okay. It's still really heavy.
And then I'll try and drop it and see if it makes a difference.
It lands with the same.
Weird.
Well,
Do you want to give me an Arcana check, Grim?
Yeah. Oh, actually, I kind of wanted to do so from the start, but
Yeah.
just let the Vondal have it fun.
Okay. You have. There is probably something magical about this, but it's beyond your ability to know. It almost certainly seems to be reacting to Vondal differently than to you. If he attunes to it, he might know more.
Well, I guess I will inform. Like,
Yeah.
you should,
Right.
You should probably hang on to that hammer.
Yeah.
You might be surprised by what it can do.
I guess he'll
even
just
more so.
yeah. I guess he just does like one more sort of like flip with it and just goes, "I certainly will."
Okay. Okay. So you have that.
Wait, did we pull out the spearhead, or
Yes.
did we just wait?
Yeah, I was kind of.
Yeah, Lithari sort of like watched
Oh, yeah.
you like hold it, but she didn't ask for it.
Okay, because then I'll well, I guess what do we have here? Like, just looking at the spear tip.
Well,
I
that's.
assume it feels warm to the touch.
Yeah. It's not like warm, but it's like body temperature.
I believe that's the warpike head.
So, you know what it is? Feels warm like the special metal. The dark steel.
Black steel.
It does seem rather too much to believe it to be a coincidence that we found that in the same place we found all the notes on the person who made it.
Yes.
It's probably the thing he made.
It was also stored in like when you folded out the cupboard, like the armor was there, the pike head was there, and the hammer was there, and it was all very sort of like it was a display case.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I know. I think we. Wait, was the first person? Oh, that wouldn't make sense. The person who ran the forge, they wouldn't happen to be dwarven, would they?
No, they were almost certainly an elf. The original creator was definitely an elf.
Well, they were an
Oh, no,
elf,
we-
but they were working with.
They were working with
dwarves in some way.
because, like,
Oh,
we're
on
we're
that
tracking
note,
down- Yep.
Vondal, you flick back through the diary, and you do find references to a clan house whose name I forgot to write down, so I will get that back to you. But it is the same clan house that you recognise the insignia. They definitely had dealings with this this member of House Arya at some point, and it was sort of hush hush. It was sort of despite the conflict between elves and dwarves, these dwarves came to the smith, said, "We will trade with you if you make us stuff." So the smith made them stuff in exchange for goods and services.
Alright.
So that's kind
So
of what I kind of deduced was like there was definitely dwarven cooperation.
yes.
'Cause I imagine this was like a guard or like an apprentice even. I didn't know, not an apprentice, because otherwise we would have had more of them.
Well, the Duragar had only just got their hands on this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what. But like we've kind of determined it's from the first age.
Yes.
Although I guess it's
But
all history.
whoever the Forge Master was definitely a fan.
Wait. Could it be Duragar? Oh,
Could what be Duragar?
the dwarf that the one that, or like maybe before they went underground or
No.
whatever.
No, the Duragar went underground long before the first age.
Yeah.
But like,
Would you say they're deep underground?
Past
I'm
the
just
third
I'm just I'm thinking if there was cooperation between a Duragar and like the Smith, considering like the access point to the Underdark.
That was made only a month ago.
Oh, okay. The stairs
Yeah.
was only made a month ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was a
All of that
break-in.
was like, yeah,
Oh, okay. No, it's just more because
Yeah.
there was like an entire stairway up. I didn't know.
that was all recent.
Yeah, it was only rough hewn. It was very recent.
Never mind then.
That was all very, very recent. He hadn't been cooperating with
Yes, the most accurate deduction you can probably make is the fact that somebody gained the information of where this smithy used to be. The Duragar went, right, okay, we can't get there overground, so we'll go underground. And then they built a tunnel up, broke in through the wall, went, oh, cool, bunch of stuff here, take that, thank you very much.
So, also, wasn't it? I'm just trying to remember now because you mentioned the insignia you mentioned for the table was one that was.
It's a very, very prominent dwarven house who are on a number of important dwarven councils.
Because they're still like very
Yes,
relevant.
they're very, very relevant, very rich, and you are starting to get the sneaking suspicion that some grand dwarf craftsmanship artifacts belonging to that family may not be of craft dwarfship. It might be craft self-ship.
I'm sorry, what?
I know what that means.
Some of the ancient
We all know what that means.
some of the ancient dwarf artifacts may have been made by elves, not by dwarves.
Yeah.
Meaning
Elves for life.
dishonor on your house, dishonor on your family, dishonor on your cow.
Dishonor on you.
Classic.
Dishonor on your cow.
Yes.
Actually, I think you'll find it's called self-obsessed. What? Never mind.
Moving swiftly onwards.
It was right there.
I think I'm glad I missed that.
Anyway. So yes.
Well,
It is entirely possible that this prominent dwarven family claim artifacts made by themselves that were not made by themselves.
Do you mind if I took a look at that?
Oh, here. I'll hand Lithari
Yeah.
the head spear
Yep.
tip.
Can
I-
I compare it to like the make of my sword? Like, how does this look like? It's kind of has that same untapped potential.
Yeah, the thing is definitely it's knowing what you know now, your sword is fairly sort of like rough and ready job, as is this warpike.
Okay.
But you get the feeling that were you to have some time with some different tools and maybe some magical aptitude, you could enhance the potential of your sword and the potential of this, which may have been the Smith's original intention, but that's long lost.
I guess then while you're looking it over, Vondal just ask like, so, satisfying trip?
Well, more than satisfying, I'd say. It was fairly exciting.
Would you perchance have an interest in all the literature at all that we found down there?
I'm not much of a reader.
You wouldn't mind then if I was to hold on to it?
Go right ahead. Perhaps it would be best to.
Although, yes, I will not keep hold of the instructions how to make this myself.
Yeah. Would.
Or at least not for longer than necessary. I.e., as long as it takes to drop it off with someone a bit safer.
Well, do you think it would be worth it to destroy them?
Quite possibly.
with it would go the secrets of how to make the weapons more powerful, for sure.
Well, would does Lithari kind of have the idea behind it? Because that was specifically how to mass produce them.
Yes, but within the book are contained the more specific instructions on how to improve it.
Oh, okay. Then in that case, Lithari does not suggest destroying them.
Yeah.
But my first thought was to take it back to the academy at the at the capital.
I guess the question is, am I overhearing this?
The safest place. I could.
Yeah. This conversation is happening
Oh, yeah.
around a campfire.
Yeah, it's a public conversation.
Actually, I had something else in mind than like the Elven library.
Aye.
I was actually thinking of maybe we could bring it to one of the Gnomish recording libraries where they record all of history.
Well, my only thought is we don't really want this going out there. We want it kept secret.
So you want to hand it to someone else?
I want to hand it to someone who we can trust to keep it on the down low. And we definitely have contacts within the academy.
If you would like, you can hold on to the book. I could just I could hold on to the notes on production.
Well, if you want to keep it hidden, like I feel like the Gnomish are probably library is probably the best place. There's so much information, you wouldn't even know where to look. Or we could just hold on to it for now.
Well, we're definitely holding on to it for now until we decide what to do.
Oh wait, no, that's not. Okay, so the name that is mentioned in the book when it talks about the creature from the elemental or the being from the elemental plane of fire, the name is Amaymon, spelt like that. You can roll me history checks to see if you know who that is, but the chances of it are very low.
I'm
I don't
pretty
know
good
why
at history, so who knows?
It's not bad.
8.
No.
None of you have ever heard of Amaymon.
Grim, you rolled a 2.
Wow.
I know.
Yep. I rolled a
Oh,
17.
Like, not enough war. Not enough military strategy.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, also it's lore and mythology about like a plane that even today not very much is known about.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if we've settled what we're doing with the book, Vondal's going to get out a different book, i.e. a journal.
Okay, we're gonna write in your journal.
Yeah, because
Well,
he's suddenly realised he hasn't written in it since they set off.
I guess if you're taking out your journal, I will take out the bits and bobs I took off the desk. See if
Okay.
there's anything valuable.
The bits and bobs you took off the desk are a bunch of like writing implements, a couple of like wax stamps, the material to make wax stamps.
Actually, that might be useful.
Will
Get those
it?
business cards.
If we ever need to forge a letter or something.
Yeah, you do own a Duragar seal now, I guess.
Alright.
There's also the leather bag that you found. Do you open the leather bag in front of your companions?
I don't see a reason
Okay.
why you hide it.
You open the leather bag. Inside are basically the bag is basically full to the brim of thin gemstones, probably about 3 inches long, and they are a very deep, very vibrant red. Inside the leather satchel is 500 gold's worth of rubies.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Ow.
That is a lot.
Shit, yeah.
I'll just add it to our treasure. And well, that seems like I may have caught some additional cash whilst we were in there, and I'll take out like one of the rubies and like hold it up.
They are flawless.
It's amazing. Yep. Huh. Well, and I guess I'll just put them away. Nobody is interested.
Nobody's bothered to buy rubies. It's fine.
Nope.
I mean,
A bag of rubies, nobody cares. Well, it's
Vondal's just like, they're pretty, and then he's writing, he's busy.
Yeah.
Lithari is still looking at the war pike head.
Okay.
well, I'll put it back in the bag then.
I bet V would like one. Or several.
Oh yeah.
We should
she's on
probably
the
at least
side.
save one for her.
Yeah.
I doubt we
Don't
will
sell them all.
spend all these by the time we get to her.
Probably not.
Lithari, they're talking about somebody that you've not met.
Oh right.
Well, everybody has friends.
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess
Jeez.
Says the loneliest person on earth.
But yeah.
Or-
At which point,
Wow.
I'm gonna cry.
I guess at that point, Vondal probably suddenly realizes and goes, V is another one of our traveling companions who has been helping her family back at her grove. She's a half-dried. You two would probably get along.
Well, I've never met a half-triad before, so...
Let's just say you both like to ask. Let's just say you'd probably ask questions about her, and she'd be more than happy to spend several hours talking about those questions.
Well,
she seems like my kind of person.
speaking of questions, I guess we've never really been told of what you used to do. Like, because you're not the average person. You definitely know how to handle a blade. A little impulsive, but yeah.
I mean, that's hardly an issue.
That is.
I think it's more a question of curiosity. It's sort of like this is
Oh,
what
no,
I've seen of you. Where does that come from?
Oh
I
yeah,
was
that's,
just making a comment about the impulsive part.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think I'll leave that one up to your companion here. Would you like to tell them? And I kind of look at Arya.
Sorry, what?
I like to imagine that was in character.
Probably. She's like
Yeah.
sat there like daydreaming, like,
What?
God.
Yeah, she's got like
head.
head in hands,
Yeah.
suffering from existential crisis.
Yeah, lack of Lyra.
Yeah.
She's just there like, I don't have my
Poor
wolf
Arya.
My
anymore.
wolf is gone.
I want to pet her. Then someone addresses you and you're like, wait, what?
What?
Yeah.
Would you like to tell your friends what I used to do?
Oh yes. So, Lithari was a member of a very special order of Elven Guards. I don't remember the name of them right now.
The Storm Guard. You met them very
Sorry.
briefly.
They
Yeah, we met
escorted
them.
us.
Yeah, they
We
were
were
in
in
the
the
court.
capital. But she was a member of
Yes.
them, which is quite a high honor in Elven society.
You remember because you specifically met Gilva Stormwarden, the
Yeah.
Yeah,
patron.
we learned that they are basically the most elite of the.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like the tip top.
Yeah, and Vondal's just
Oh,
gonna go,
God.
that's... Yeah, their reputation certainly is grand.
Which explains a lot of things.
It certainly does.
And I think
And leaves
Lithari
a
kind of
lot
like
more
at the same time kind of like pulls apart her robe a little bit and takes out her rank insignia which she wears around her neck under her robes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so you still serve or retired?
Retired.
Hmm.
But
Long
volunteer,
time
so-
ago.
You're certainly not the type to spend your retirement quietly then.
Well, I grew out of it.
Oh well. Oh, you can definitely hold your own. So
I think she does more than that.
I would
Yeah.
hope so.
Also, and what is the deal with your arrows? You mentioned something about those when we were in the Underdark, and I never got a chance to ask you what exactly those arrows are.
Well, they're...
Silence.
The silence.
Silence. She's like, go tell her.
Well, just...
You don't have to tell me.
No, they're nothing. They're nothing too special. And she kind of takes one of them off of her belt, and I think she takes her bow out, and just kind of knocks the arrow and fires it like deep, like as hard as she can, deep into like a nearby piece of rotting wood or something.
Okay. Yep.
And just kind of like piercing it all the way through. And she kind of motions for Arya. It's just like, why don't you try getting that out of there?
Okay. I guess I walk over and try to pull it out.
Okay. Make me a sleight of hand check. Okay. Pulling it out is incredibly difficult, and you sort of like you yank on it, and you're just like, oh god, that's gonna snap it. But it comes out and it doesn't break.
Oh my. Okay. Can I like try to like bend it?
Okay, yeah, you bend it, it bends as far as an arrow you'd expect an arrow to bend. But applying any more force than that, it just goes rigid. And it should snap, but it doesn't.
Damn. I guess I just hand it back to her and go, those are incredibly strong.
Well, I should hope so. They've served me well so far.
I can see why you wouldn't want to part ways with them.
I don't have very many of them.
You started with a lot more, but you've lost quite a lot.
Yeah.
Are they from when you were serving? Did you pick them up later?
No, I paid a visit to a couple of Fletchers when I decided to hit the road again. But, I am afraid I misplaced a few of them on my way to Silverbrook.
When she says misplaced, the implication is that she misplaced them in somebody else.
Oh,
Almost
yeah.
certainly.
I imagine. Even the arrow that doesn't break only lasts for so long.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm feeling a little bit tired after that day.
Oh yeah, and I'll just let you hold on to the black steel if you
Well,
want to.
I would appreciate it. It's very nice of you.
That's basically the entire reason why we came. Like, I can carry it for you, but I assume you would like it for yourself.
Yeah, I'll hold on to it.
Yeah,
And,
it's not fantastically heavy.
And well, when we part ways, we'll figure out a way for you to carry those some of that ore, because that is gonna be tricky.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I guess we'll just see each other tomorrow and then head off to bed.
Okay. Vondal, do you want to attune to the item before you go to sleep?
Definitely.
Okay. Cool.
He's also just having like a read through of what he's already written. He finishes his entry and just rereads basically the whole thing.
I do not have the full stat sheet for the item, so I will tell you what it is after the session. But you may attune to it, and I will tell you what it does.
Okay.
And I guess on that note, that's actually a good place for us to
Wait,
stop.
can I ask something of Lithari before? Like, I didn't want to do it
Sure,
around the fire
yeah,
first,
no.
and I was trying to decide if Kelariis would do it, but I think that she's too curious to not do it.
Go ahead.
I think she'll go to Lithari kind of as people disperse from the actual campfire sitting itself and say, "Look, I don't know if it's weird to ask, but you mentioned fighting Dragonborn before, and I guess I just want to know what exactly you meant by saying that."
Well, you heard your friend. I was a part of the Storm Guard. Does that mean anything to you?
I mean, we briefly met Sorry, his title was Storm Warden, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we briefly met the Storm Warden, but I'm not particularly familiar with Elven culture beyond what we learned then.
Well,
Funny fact about the Storm Warden, you basically one of the last ceremonies you would have ever taken part in as part of your military history would have been at the announcement of his conception. Because he's a child. So.
well, if you would like a little bit of a history lesson.
I won't down.
A very long time ago, there was a point in time where the Dragonborn invaded Elven lands, and it was my job to protect them. I've fought plenty of Dragonborn in my time.
Does that hold with what I know of, like, or does that match up with anything I know in terms of history?
You know that your history is fraught with sort of expansions and border skirmishes. Give me a history check.
Oh. Sure.
Okay. This
Military.
this rings a bell in one of the specific stories that you learned in maneuvers. Essentially, what happened was in an attempt to sort of deter the Dragonborn from pushing into Elven territory, the elves raided several Dragonborn settlements that they'd taken from the humans on the far western coast. As a sort of display of force, essentially the then leader of the Dragonborn military essentially amassed I think it was 2,000 soldiers, and essentially marched on the closest 5 Elven settlements, and essentially took them, occupied them in very short order, and essentially a lot of the conflicts were between Stormguard and Dragonborn, and it's basically considered to be one of the clashes of 2 of the most highly trained military forces in modern history. And it was won fairly convincingly by the Dragonborn.
I think Lithari kind of recounts all of that to Kelariis, and she's just like, we lost, and I hold no grudges against you or Dragonborn. In fact, I respect them more than anything else. But yeah, that's who I am, and that's what I've done.
Well, I mean, I can't fault you for defending your people and the people that you care about. I was just curious, I guess. But you hold your own in a fight as well, so you have my respect. For what it's worth.
I am a bit curious, as I fought, as you know now, I fought dozens of Dragonborn, but never one that fights quite like you do. And she kind of gives Kelariis a little bit of a smirk.
I'm not like most of. God, that sounds so strange to say it that way. I'm not like most Dragonborn. I don't exactly subscribe to the same ideals that all of the other Dragonborn do. Not exactly, at least, and I'm a bit of a special case.
Well, I certainly don't subscribe to most of the ideals of old women, so.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Most pick up needles, you picked up a hammer.
I won't pry more. It's been interesting to fight alongside you and your companions. You're certainly the most interesting people I've met since I decided to hit the road.
I think that's a compliment. But it's been interesting for us, and I think it was nice for us to get out of Silverbrook for a while.
Well, it certainly is nice to stretch your legs every once in a while.
Can't argue that.
You should get some rest. It's been a long day.
Hey, you should as well. I think we all should. I'll stand up and go.
Okay.
Nod. Get a bro nod. You get a
Yep.
bro nod.
Yeah.
Yup, there we go.
She bro nods back and kind of taps you on the shoulder a little bit.
Oh.
Oh.
Marky bingo cards.
Bro, not has been met. The quota has
There you
been.
go.
Quota met.
Okay. Yeah, and with that, you guys take a long rest, and we will end the session.
Wait, hold on.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, go one last.
Okay, guess we're not. Bye.
Hang on.
When everybody's gone to sleep, Lithari wants to take out the mask that she took off of that guy.
Fucking
Okay.
God.
Oh no.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
And I just want to inspect it.
Okay.
Jesus.
Give me an Arcana check.
Oh boy, I'm not good at those.
Okay. It seems to function with the same magic that your sword does, but it's far more controlled. Whereas your sword is like it's a quick burst of a lot of power and then it's not usable. This thing is reusable, but its power is a lot more controlled. But that's as far as you can tell.
Can I like attune to it, or is it not like that?
It will not fit you.
Oh, true. Alright, kind of slip that back away, out of sight.
Okay.
And, yeah, go to bed.
Cool. Well, we'll end the session there then.
Interesting.
So, I actually expected us to get done with this a little bit quicker, but that's cool. So, whilst everybody talks about what it is that they have learned, I will do some experience, because I'm pretty sure that at the end of this session, all of you will be now level 9, which will lead
Nice.
nicely
Wow.
into our next
Nice.
session.
I guess I'll go first because I actually have a bit more of an idea now.
Okay, go for it.
So, as a player, reinforcing the lessons of check everything you have, because sometimes it's very much worth it to flick back through old artifacts that you thought you didn't need anymore. Because that was, the beta force really sort of helped us out there. That was some good beta forcing. It suited our purposes pretty much almost perfectly. I can't really think of anything else we could have done better, really, to get through that. So yeah, make sure you consider every possibility if you can, because that is well worth it. Vondal is... He's continuing on that path of worry, because of how sudden everything has been along this expedition. So he's worrying more and more and more about everybody in the party, essentially. It's all very sudden realizations of it feels like I'm as attached to these people as I would be to someone who I had known for decades. Decades upon decades.
Yeah.
So he's finding the whole ordeal quite weird to be so suddenly attached so strongly to such a motley group.
Even though you've known them for months, in dwarf
Yeah.
terms, that's barely any time at all.
Yeah. He knows, in practicality, he's known them for months, which is, to him, almost nothing. But it feels like he's known them for decades.
And perhaps even a little fondness for Lithari as well.
A little bit. Though mostly exasperation in Lithari's case.
Fair.
Fair enough.
Basically, the same amount of. Basically, he didn't think Arya. There could be people much worse than Arya, and Lithari showed up and drastically proved him wrong.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, Vondal
Wow.
had the same reaction to me when we first met.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's basically gone. Okay, maybe Arya's not that bad, but that can't be anyone worse, surely. At which point, Lithari showed up.
Incorrect.
And now he's realised, yeah, he has been proved drastically wrong, and he's wondering now if it's just an elf thing, generally. The elves are
Got
just
one of those
reckless and
health
impulsive.
things.
He's just starting to wonder if elves are all reckless and impulsive.
I have to go soon, so.
Okay. Cool.
Do you want to go then?
Yeah, take 2,925 experience.
Oh, nice.
Yep, that's definitely a ding. I
Oh,
needed
that's
like 460.
I think as a player, it's really. I think I've kind of learned how satisfying it is when you're in a really bad situation and you make up a plan, quote unquote, and it works out really
Yeah.
really well.
Are you? Can I stop you for a second? Are you saying that you love it when a plan comes together?
Oh my gosh, yes,
Oh my
I am.
God.
very-
Shit.
Mhm.
Dun, 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 dun.
Fucking believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I love when a plan comes together. I think that's, and I've also kind of, I think for Lithari, it's nice to have pretty much everything out on the table. She likes fucking with people.
I can tell.
But it's also nice that we're pretty much I these people are know kind of my deal, pretty much. So, and I think she also learned that I think she thought when she went out on the road that she was pretty much done with smithing for the most part. Like she mostly wanted just kind of like to satisfy her own curiosity, like, oh, where did this stuff come from? But now she's kind of starting to realize that maybe there's still more work to be done.
Yes, more secrets. Okay, yeah, you may have your experience. And yeah, feel free to go as you need. Next.
Sure. As a player, let's see. I'm not quite sure. Well, it was very nice to see how impactful those like consumables can be. Because I'm always like holding on to the beads, like I should save them for when they're necessary. And
This
boy,
was that time.
I almost want to go out and buy more, but sadly that's not how the beads work.
Nope.
Oh, that's like a month-long quest on its own. But yeah, oh, it was nice. I also enjoyed having a little bit more RP again at the end here. 'Cause we haven't done much of it. That was good. And as Grim, yeah, what did he learn? Well, I guess he does respect Lithari, because he just went with what she said. That's like when she gave a plan, well, just went with it. I feel like this also was a kind of showed him a slightly more organized side, or at least it felt less chaotic this time.
Yes.
But yeah, and wow, and Durgar get very mad when you break into their fortress.
Yeah.
Oh, and they and have a great response time on top of it. Yeah. What else? I think those are the main things. Well, learned a little about Lithari and that kind of stuff. I don't think. Well, I guess there is one thing that he's thinking about. When they're parting ways, he's probably gonna do a small sales pitch.
Okay, yeah. Fair
To an
enough.
old lady.
Look,
The world. I mean,
like,
look, he's gonna be
just
training a lot of
imagine
soldiers.
this:
Two heads are better than one.
like, Dragonborn and Storm Guard in your.
This is the sales pitch for his guild.
I know.
Literally, what you've got is
Members of the Storm Guard and Dragon.
literally what you've got
This is
is
not how I recruit them. That's how I get new customers. But it's not gonna be for a long, long time.
literally
Maybe
what
you
you've got.
don't have
What
any
you've got
customers
is a
right
fucking.
now.
So far, your mercenary company is a former, like, a marshal for a religious order, a former Dragonborn soldier, and potentially a retired Storm Guard.
Don't forget the Ranger dropout.
Oh god.
Like, I ask you to put together like a group of like 5 people, and have them like invade a Durgar fortress and come out alive.
So what you're saying
Yep.
to me is you want to assemble the next Avengers.
We are the Avengers.
I know! Arya gets me!
I mean, you guys are getting dangerously close to being superheroes.
This is fair.
At some point, we will be able to open a door and have music just go. Dun, 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 dun,
Just like usually, I was like considered like a guard level person. I would like be like, okay, you can do work because that's like good enough. You've like had training. like a guard is like you could easily take on like a dozen guards.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not on your own, but like close. Yeah.
I mean, if you get your own Avengers, you will literally be Captain America with your shield skills.
I just need. Just need proficiency
Oh my
in throwing
God.
shields.
What does that make the
You need
rest
a,
of
yeah,
us?
you
then?
need a round shield.
Oh,
Shit.
What does that make the rest of us then?
That's a good question.
That's a good question that we can answer after the session.
I have some ideas, so I'll lay them out after the session.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
That was
After
fast.
So yeah, you may have your experience.
okay. Nice.
Okay. Arya versus Kelariis, round 1, fight.
Fight. I guess I can go next, if you don't want to.
No, you're fine either way.
So in terms of what I learned this session, those beads of force are super hella OP, and I don't understand why we have like them in our possession, and we've had them in our possession for a long time, and we've
Yes.
never used them. So
Mainly because they're only really useful in a 10-foot aura, and the creatures have to
Yeah.
fail their saving throws, so
Yep.
yeah,
These were the perfect targets.
they were the
Yeah.
perfect targets, because they were all in heavy armor and they all had 0 modifier to dex.
Yeah.
And they were all hella grouped up.
they
Yep.
were.
Well, the thing about it was, they had advantage on their saving throws, but they still failed. Because
And even if they
the phalanx gave them advantage on dex saving throws, so...
That
Huh.
makes no sense whatsoever.
No, it doesn't.
Why would a phalanx give you advantage? It should give you disadvantage on dex throws.
Well, I think the idea is that you're like this shield wall, and
Yes.
like you just
Oh.
block the fireball essentially.
that's
suppose.
fair.
But they failed anyway, so...
Also, on some level, it's nice not to have to worry about Lyra. Like, if one of you guys had gone down, I would have been like, fuck, like, what the
Yes.
fuck? But with Lyra, I'm like, okay, I know I can summon her. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You are functionally crippled without her. You lose a lot of your tactical ability, but...
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, like, it doesn't have to, like, it's not necessarily
Yeah.
as much of a mental strain, I guess. Except
Yes.
for, like, the part of my soul that feels like it's missing.
No big deal, you know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jeez.
It's okay, you just have to deal with emo Arya until you can get back
Yeah.
to town.
God.
Like really sad.
We have plenty of experience with that.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Not a new sensation.
I hope you're all perfectly contented to listen to Bring Me the Horizon all the way back.
Nah, man, I'm gonna put on some Evanescence.
Oh shit.
Outside on the go.
Let me up inside.
It's great.
Don't
That's Arya.
save me.
It's like exactly the level of emo that Arya was when she started out as a character. As Arya, she learned a lot about Lithari, which is pretty interesting.
Indeed.
Those arrows are like bomb, and she wants them.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool.
Need to find a masterwork Fletcher for that.
Yeah, for real. I want to know what kind of wood she uses, because like, pretty dope. Arya, not me. I don't give a
Yeah.
fucking shit about what it is, but. Other than that, she was glad that her spike growth came in handy, because I've not
Yep.
been able to use that skill as much as I want to. It's only applicable in like situations like this. But when I need it, it's like there. That's nice.
Yes, that was literally the perfect use for it, because they couldn't pursue you, because if they'd have kept behind you, they would have been like they would have been on less than half health from the amount of damage they would have had to take to walk through it.
Yeah, like as soon as I saw the amount of creatures that we'd have to face, I was like, it's time.
Yeah.
Time for
That was the perfect use of that ability.
Yeah. think that's about it. In terms
Yeah.
of what I've learned.
Take your experience. Last but not least.
Well, I mean, I think like everybody else here today, the beads of force are the fucking best thing, because I think they really saved our ass today. It's very interesting how sometimes you get something a long time ago and forget you have it
Yeah.
as like an item, and then you
Yep.
remember it and you're like, holy shit, this is gonna save us, this is gonna get us out of here.
Yep.
So yeah, beads of force, definitely really, really good items to
Thank you.
randomly have.
Yep.
God, yeah. Because I honestly think if we hadn't had those, we would have struggled real bad.
Yes.
And they're good because even the ones that succeeded, they get pushed away by the bead of force. So
Yes.
no matter what, you're breaking the wall that they had, which was
Yeah.
nice. But yeah, I'm so glad that we remembered we had that. Actually, Minnie remembered that Grim had them still. So,
Yes.
it's
Oh,
fucking.
don't worry.
I will confide when I planned how this was gonna pan out. I did go through your stuff and I was like, do they have anything that can break this formation in a way that will let them escape? And I found a couple of options, and one of them was the bead of force, and I was just like, if they roll well on this bead of force, or if the bad guys roll badly, this has the potential to just break the encounter wide open, and that was exactly what happened. So, yes.
Well, on the bright side, we didn't die except for Lyra, unfortunately, but she can come back.
Yes.
So that's good. As Kelariis, it's interesting to know. I think she's really glad that she talked to Lithari, especially after finding out that she was part of the Storm Guard. Because I mean, I knew out of character, but Kelariis had no fucking clue. So
Yes.
that was interesting, and I think she really she genuinely holds a lot of respect for her. And I think it's weird because I realized that Kelariis very quickly, she wants to trust people, and I think she very much trusts Lithari, especially after we all kind of escaped a Durgar fortress, which was kind of terrifying to be in that situation, but we all got out. And I think even though they haven't really known each other for that long, I think Kelariis counts Lithari among the people that she would basically give her life to protect, which is kind of weird to think about, but also they went through a very stressful situation together and nobody got stabbed in the back. It's so that's a plus.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
It's pretty good. And she has a lot of respect for her, and it's also learning when to she's working on learning when to retreat instead of just staying to fight everything. So that's another thing. She's kind of getting better at that, but slowly, with time.
Excellent.
Yep.
You may have your experience.
Thanks.
And with that, it's time for us to come to a close. So, I'd like to thank you all for watching, I'd like to thank you all for playing, and we'll see you all next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.